The PSA AKP. How is it doing after give or take 3,000 rounds? Let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm Tyler Austin from Gung Your Strategic. Thank you so much for watching. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I've featured this AKP in many of my videos. And I've had this thing for at least 2 years, maybe even 3 years now. I've had this thing for quite a while. And through that time, I've had the opportunity to put quite a good amount of rounds through it. Like I've said, about 3,000 rounds, probably more. But we'll keep it conservative and say 3,000 rounds. And it's been a while since I've done an update on this AKP, so I thought this would be a good time. So how has this thing held up after give or take 3,000 rounds, and with the last few hundred of those rounds being suppressed? Well, quite frankly, it's held up just fine. I've had absolutely zero issues with this. The internals look fantastic. I wish I could take the thing apart and show you what the internals look like. However, the very first video I did with this AKP, it was actually an unboxing video, and during that unboxing I took it apart and looked at the parts. And well, a year and a half ago or so, something like that, YouTube kinked that video along with a whole bunch of other of my videos and gave me strikes and prevented me from uploading videos for quite a while and nearly took my channel off of YouTube. So unfortunately, I can't do that. But rest assured, the internals look just fine. There's no abnormal wear that I wouldn't expect after 3,000 rounds. Yeah, so the internals look just fine. Also, out of those 3,000 rounds, I can't recall a single malfunction. Maybe it malfunctioned at one point. If it did, I can't recall it. So it's been extremely reliable for me. Not only durable, but reliable. So I've had zero issues on that front. So I've been extremely happy with this thing. With the round count I've put through it and the time I've used it, I've had absolutely zero issues with it, and it's been a very reliable gun. So I'm extremely happy with it. PSA really did a good job with this AK. For the price point especially, it's pretty hard to beat. Now, is it on par with some super high-end AKs like a Phoenix Fuller or a Rifle Dynamics? Is it going to be as nice as one of those? No. But for the price point, it's a reliable, well-built AK. So kudos to PSA for doing a really good job. Their AKs have developed a good reputation, especially for the price point. And for what I'm seeing here, it's well-deserved. They did a fantastic job with this AK. Now, obviously, this isn't completely stock. I have upgraded it in some form. Primarily, the big thing is going to be the rail. I put an SLR or Rifleworks rail on it, which I've been extremely happy with. This rail is rock solid. It's a fantastic rail for this AK. And I did cut the sling loop off the barrel too. It is a permanent change, but I didn't need it because I have the SLR rail that allows me to attach sling points. So I just ended up cutting that off just to better fit the rail. But other than that, I really haven't done any modifications to this. I polished up the trigger a little bit to make the trigger a little nicer. It's just a standard AK trigger. And after doing a little bit of polishing work on it, it's now a pretty nice trigger. Not as good as an ALG, especially a polished ALG, but still a pretty nice trigger. So it's the stock trigger, just polished. But other than that, I haven't really changed anything other than adding optics, lights. I did add a muzzle device that would accept my 36M suppressor, which, talking about suppressors, this thing is very well gassed, unsuppressed. So it's definitely not an over-gassed AK. A lot of older American-made AKs especially tended to be pretty gassy. This one is very well gassed. However, suppressed, it's definitely pretty gassy, which isn't something I did not expect. It was very expected. Most AKs even well-gassed AKs unsuppressed tend to be pretty gassy when you suppress them. It's just the nature of AKs. AKs don't necessarily make the best suppressor host. I did a video on how well this AK suppresses, and I'll have B-roll running, and you can see most of it's going to be suppressed. So you can see that it is pretty gassy. So it's definitely over-gassed when suppressed, but again, it's not something that I didn't expect. I fully expected that. And it gets pretty filthy when you shoot it suppressed too. But again, that's not something I didn't expect. But it does suppress, and it's not something that I would say isn't worth suppressing. It's definitely worth suppressing if you have the option, but it's not the it's not going to be the nicest suppressed gun you've ever shot. Let's just put it that way. Moving on to the rail dust cover. This was probably my biggest concern when I first got the pistol, was how well this thing was going to hold zero. A lot of rail dust covers, well, there's a lot of rail dust covers out there on the market. Some of them have better reputation than others, and it really comes down to how robust they are and how well they attach to the rifle. This one, I'm happy to say I've had zero issues with it losing zero. This thing has held up fantastically, and I've had no issues with it losing zero. The only thing I would say, if you do get one of these and you put a lot of rounds through it, is occasionally check this screw right here. This screw is what attaches the dust cover to the hinge point on the front trunnion. So occasionally this thing will start to loosen up a little bit. But even when it loosened up and it was able to slide back and forth, once it was locked down on the actual to the receiver, even when it was looser, I didn't see a zero shift. But obviously you don't want it loose, so make sure you tighten it up. I would highly suggest you unscrew it and Loctite it. I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to red Loctite it to make sure it doesn't ever come loose again. I've put blue Loctite on it, and I haven't had an issue with it since. But thinking on it now, I'm probably just going to red Loctite it, so I know I will never have an issue with it again. So if you do get one of these, rest assured, at least in my experience, the rail dust cover has not had any issues with losing zero. But do keep an eye on that screw and make sure it stays tight, especially once your round count starts getting higher. Magazine fitment, I've already covered this in other videos, but I've had zero issues with magazines. Some magazines fit tighter, some magazines fit looser, but I've had no issue with magazines not fitting it or causing problems with the pistol in this case. In terms of magazines, again, at least with my experience, I've had zero issue. And I have quite a variety of magazines, from steel mags, polymer mags, Bulgarian mags. I have a bunch of different magazines, and it uses and it works with all of those magazines. Obviously, there's differences. Some of them fit a little tighter, some of them fit a little looser, but all of them work. So after years of owning it and putting at least 3,000 rounds through it, it has been reliable and durable, and I have really nothing bad to say about it. So if you are looking to get a quality AK, especially at a good price, I can highly recommend the PSA AKP. I think PSA has done a phenomenal job with this AK. So if you're looking for a good AK at a good price, definitely consider this. I do not think you will be disappointed if you get one. Talking about AKs, many of you know I wrote a book, Combative Kalashnikov, Mastering the AK Rifle. It's all about fighting with your AK. I am very much considering doing an online course, if you will, or online video series based on my Combative Kalashnikov ebook. If that is something you would be interested in, let me know down in the comment section below, because I am very much considering it. And if I definitely get enough interest in it, it's something I will do in the near future, probably in the springtime. So if that's something you would be interested in, let me know down in the comment section below. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, please like and subscribe. Also consider subscribing to either my player or my Patreon channels. Links are down in the description below, of course. I'm Tyler Austin from Gun Strategic. Thank you so much for watching.